What's going on, guys? Ronnie here with the Local Losers. We're still on this truck. I don't know if you guys are getting tired of it, but I have a pretty short attention span and I'm getting a little over it. But we're making good project. We're making good progress. Things are coming along really well. I did a little bit of work yesterday. Our white wires finally came in. So I extended all these guys so they're nice and long so we can run all those to our sensors. I added, let me show you in here. I added another power bus bar right here, this one. This is gonna be our 5 volts. So we had to take this wire, let me see if you guys can see it. This guy, extend him down to there, and then we'll throw, I believe we'll take 3 wires and bring them out here. It's for sensors, it's 5 volts for sensors. And I can only think of 3 that need them. We need it for oil pressure, fuel pressure, and throttle position. Oh, and we may need it for the flex fuel sensor. I'll have to look that up and see exactly how the flex fuel sensor is wired up. So I'm gonna do that. I'll figure it out. I'll get wires cut. We'll get that ran. We also gotta get the truck up on the lift, change the O2 sensor, the wideband, because we're running the CAN one. So we'll have to run this harness here. We're gonna have to run it through the truck where it goes. We have to figure that out. So yeah, we have to do that. We have to do the yellow wires, which is gonna be our 5 volts. We got to figure out grounds, if we need to add any more grounds, and run our sensor wires. If we get those laid out, start getting them hooked up, like the throttle position sensor, fuel pressure sensor, intake air temp. If we can get all that done today, that'll be a good deal. And by today, I just mean this video. If we can get it all done in this video, that'll basically be the wiring done. The only thing we'll have left is the distributor. So let me look up the flex fuel sensor and we'll get cracking. So according to the internet, the flex fuel sensor gets a 12 volt, a ground, and a sensor wire. And this goes here, this goes here, and then we got to build one more to go to the throttle position sensor. Trying to set you guys up where you can see what I'm doing, hopefully. So this is my wire. Ran it down the cowl up into here, give it a little strip, putting this guy on here. Crimp it, crimp it. It's on there good. So when I'm running these, I'm trying to run everything as neatly as possible. This is gonna go right here. So I think it looks pretty decent. I forgot about the throttle position sensor when I was running these, so I already have zip ties holding it all together that now are useless. But, oh well, what are you gonna do? I already put them in, so tighten that up, looks good. Now I'll go on the outside, I'm gonna pull this tight. We'll zip tie this up again. And hopefully, I think that's everything done on here. Then we just gotta do these. Grab my dikes. They should make it a little bit easier. Cutting these zip ties off that I put on here to make it look so pretty. But no big deal. And that's that. It looks good. I'm super happy with the way this harness is coming out. Let me get you guys in here a little bit. So it's real easy to figure out. If you're me, I'm definitely still going to write all this down, but that's 12 volts constant. This is constant ground. This is 5 volts from the ECU, and then all this is our switch 12 volts. So it's pretty simple. Like I said, I'm going to draw something up and keep it in the glove box of the truck that explains all this. That way, if anything ever happens, I forget, I got to fix any of this, I have it all written down and it should be good to go. Now for the fun part of coming out here and throwing sensors where they go. So we're going to start furthest away, I think. You guys can't see nothing. We're going to start right here with the intake air temperature sensor, and we'll start working our way back. So we'll do intake air, then we'll do throttle position, then we'll do flex, then we'll have our 2 pressure sensors. So let's go ahead and get started on that. I'm going to start separating wires, figuring out where I'm going to run things, all that kind of stuff, and I'll show you guys what I get. All right. It's been a few days since I last shot. No idea what the last thing I shot was. We were getting ready for a car show. My mom's car was here. Eddie was polishing it up. So I'm going to walk you through where we're at, which you probably already know because I don't know what I shot, and then what we're going to do today. Today's pretty simple. We got to run some ground wires. We got to connect some wires. We got to throw on some heat shrink. Really pretty simple. But if you come over here, I got the intake air temperature sensor done and the throttle position sensor done. They're nice and tight. Run up here so you can't really see them. Injectors are finished. Coolant temp is finished. And coil packs are finished. We need to run a ground for our boost control solenoid. We need to run a ground for this pressure sensor and for this pressure sensor. This one's for our fuel pressure. This one's for our oil pressure, both going to the ECU. So we're going to run these 3 grounds. Yeah, because that ground's not hooked up. So I'm going to run these 3 grounds. We'll get them all, too long. And then we'll start hooking them up, getting heat shrink on all this, making it look decent, hopefully, fingers crossed. So yeah, let's get started. All right, so my buddy Will was over. He has a really sick RX-7. But anyways, he knows a lot more about tuning than I do because I know 0 and he knows a bit. I don't want to say he knows a lot, but he knows a lot compared to me. So I got fuel pressure wired up, oil pressure wired up. The crank position sensor is right here, and we got all that figured out. So these are our wires. This is how they're going. I got to rewire it to make all this work. I'm going to wire it into the reds and blacks instead of like this. One thing, and maybe I'm dumb for doing this, I don't know, but if we look, I want to show you guys something because this was a big deal for us. And if we can't fix it easily on this ECU, it's going to be a negative for me. Not that it's a huge deal, but it is a deal. So let's go over here. This is the micro squirt harness right here. Okay, and if you look, this wire right here says, what does that say? Coolant. This one says sensor ground. You can't read it, but I promise you that's what it says. Look, what about this orange wire? What does that say? Can you guys read that? 12 volt something switched. So it has all this. This says WLED, whatever the fuck WLED means. So all those are marked like that. On the Fuel Tech, they're not. They're not marked at all. They're just colored. So all of our inputs, this, which is fuel, oil, intake air, throttle position, coolant temp, are, oh, and we have a freaking flex fuel sensor in there that I totally forgot about. All of those are wired up with white wires. We don't know which ones are which. It doesn't say like this one goes to flex fuel, this one goes to throttle position. It doesn't say. They're just white and they're just labeled as inputs. So we got to figure out how to change that and make that right. Hopefully in the software we can go through and say this is this and this is this, but I don't know if we can, so we have to figure that out. Hopefully we can, hopefully it's easy. I'll call Fuel Tech tomorrow and talk to them, but for now, pretty much we're done here. We got crank signal. We had, come here camera, we had the ECU in there, but it's not in there anymore. So really that's where we're at, and it's pretty well good and done. So I don't know if this video was long or short. I have a feeling it was pretty short, but that's where we're at. We'll continue in the next video. Hopefully we'll have this thing fired up and running for you guys. It won't run good, but it might run.